Hi guys, good evening and welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I'll be discussing what I thought of the three most recent and so great episodes of Andor. I mean, damn, the show is really picking up steam. And you know what I realized? With the dropping of these three episodes today on Disney Plus, we only have three more left to go next week. Shame. Can't believe it's gone by that fast. But when you release three episodes a week, that's what's going to happen. It's time will catch up. So, oh well. All right. Before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned. This is a spoiler-filled review. So if you're not caught up on Andor by episodes 7, 8, or 9, you don't want to keep watching or listening, as I will be referring to all three most recent episodes, and I will be discussing massive spoilers. So again, if you're currently watching Andor and you're not caught up, do not watch this video or watch it with extreme caution. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. First and foremost, goodbye, Suro. God, he was such a little wiener. But god damn, that little sucker was strong as hell. I mean, he threatened his lover. He kind of beat the hell out of Cassian. You know, for a shrimpy little guy, he seemed surprisingly physically strong. Like, he put up a good fight with Andor, and then the way he threatened Dedra, you know, I'm like, Jesus, this kid's a lot stronger than he looks. I mean, Christ, I thought he was such a wiener, but here he is physically intimidating his girlfriend, and now is throwing fisticuffs with Andor, and then the look of disappointment on his face when he realizes that Andor doesn't even know who he is. And of course, right at that moment, he gets shot, thanks to the guy from The Strain, Richard Samuel, the actor, the leader of the Gorman people, or Resistance. So that was pretty cool to watch. I figured, because we haven't seen Cyril in other Star Wars media, I figured he would be one of the many characters to die this season. And I was correct. I wonder if Dedra knows about his death amongst all the carnage, if his body was identified and presented or brought to her, or if she was just simply having an emotional panic attack or an episode because of her complicity in this massacre. Because it's interesting, she seemed rather reluctant to give the go-ahead or the order for the massacre to begin. Considering her cold nature, you think it would have come naturally to her, but maybe there's more to her than we realize. Maybe she isn't such a cold-hearted meanie after all. Only time will tell, but now she doesn't have to deal with Cyril anymore, so that's good. The whole sequence on Gorman was very well done. Very scary. I'm reluctant to call it an action sequence. It was more of a full-blown massacre or slaughter, because it was armed troops opening up on mostly unarmed civilians. Now, a couple of the Resistance people had guns, but they were eventually gunned down as well, too. But it was it wasn't necessarily a great action piece, but it was a good, well-done sequence of events. It really captured the terror of like a mass gathering gone badly that turns into a mass shooting, basically. And what was especially chilling was the fact that the Empire had their own sniper standing by to instigate this whole thing, and the person he chose to shoot, the first one to die, was a young Imperial soldier, not some random Gorman civilian, but an Imperial soldier to kick things off. And it just goes to show you how far the Galactic Empire is and was willing to go in terms of getting what they wanted out of anybody and everything. So that was really well done. And I got excited, of course, when we saw the droids, because I figured one of them has to be K2SO, and we were right. And to him finally making his debut on this show, all I have to say is about fucking time. We're almost at the end of the final season, and now he makes his debut? Well, a lot can happen in 3 episodes, so we do have 3 more episodes to go, so I won't be too angry or too disappointed. I'm just happy he's finally fucking here. And I also really enjoyed the tying Mothma's escape from the Senate to the storyline we saw, that episode we saw in Star Wars Rebels years ago, where she was snuck away by Gold Squadron, and then they transported her via the Ghost in Star Wars Rebels. I love the little tie-in they mentioned there when Captain Draven mentions Gold Squadron will be escorting her to Yavin, but not including Ghost, of course, not mentioning Ghost for secrecy reasons, but I liked that little tie-in there. That was very, very cool. That was great. I'm glad Cyril's dead. I mentioned that. Oh, a lot to unpack in 3 episodes. Mon Mothma's speech was badass and awesome. Her escape from the Senate was awesome. I loved that she and Nandor have finally met after all this time, after 2 seasons with their storylines running parallel to one another. They have finally met one another. Not under the best circumstances, but they'll grow to learn and trust each other over time, so that's good. And I also liked how, I mean, I didn't like it necessarily because it meant saying goodbye, abandoning Andor and saying goodbye to Bix, goodbye to Adria Arjona, who's done an amazing job on this show. But I understand why they wrote her off, because we don't see her in Rogue One, obviously. So they had to find a way to write her off. And I'm glad they did the way they did, because I really did not want her to die. That would have been way too sad and way too much of an emotional gut punch for the audience and for Andor himself. So it makes sense that they would have her be written off by having her leave willingly on her own accord. Because deep down, she and Cassian both know he belongs, he's needed in the rebellion. And that was another thing I really liked, when she took him to that force healer to get his shoulder fixed, or his arm fixed, whatever it was. And she said that he's a messenger and that he needs to be somewhere. I think that somewhere is Scarif. In the final moments of Rogue One, I believe the place he needs to be is Scarif. That's what the Force Healer was referring to. When she touched his arm or his shoulder, she could possibly foresee maybe snippets of his future or his destiny at least. And she at least knows that, I may not know enough about you, but you are needed elsewhere. You are going to be needed when the time comes. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And of course, I loved how it ended with the debut of K2SO, you know, being reprogrammed, lines spoken by the awesome Alan Tudyk, of course. So yeah, another solid 3 episodes of Andor. It was all exciting, gripping, captivating, and above all, satisfying. So goodbye, Cyril. Goodbye, Bix. I'm curious to see what becomes of Dedra. And I'm curious to see what becomes of the rest of our characters in the next 3 episodes, because I believe these next 3 episodes lead directly to the events of Rogue One. So that's pretty exciting. All right, guys, have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much for watching this episode review. What did you think of the latest 3 episodes of Andor? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Andor drops its final 3 episodes next week on Disney+. Better break out the tissue box, guys. Have a great rest of the night, everybody. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.